the city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
The path doesn't get any better. The path doesn't get any better. Sometimes the man above puts things in front of you, and all you got to do is just walk through it or step over it. Don't go around it. Don't dodge it. Go through that mother. You feel what I'm saying? You guys are tuned into your Eagles pregame show featuring none other than Coach Markus himself from Pro Fan Talk, and I am Tone DeShields II from the Chalk It Up Sports Network. Man, oh man, Eagles fans, smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. We are live. I repeat, we are live on both channels, and also all of you guys who tune in via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you guys lock in as well. Continue to stay locked in. This is the path we asked for.
Yes, we did.
I told people, Markus, that number 1 seed is a little bit overrated. I've been saying it for several weeks. I told people that number 1 seed is a little funny money. But man, what's talk to me, man. What's on your mind right now?
Anybody can get got.
Oh yeah.
Anybody can get got. You got to take care of your business when you have the opportunity to take care of your business. And that's it in a nutshell. I don't care who you are. You remember the conversation we had last week? When the playoffs start, everything you've done before that point gets wiped off the table. And you got a new board with new pieces on the board. That's where you got to start. And that resets every week. So with Detroit getting that bye week didn't mean a damn thing because they didn't handle business. They didn't handle business. Anybody can get got. So that's why when I was live last night, I had a lot of people saying the same thing, but I was like, that's great. But when we step on that field at the Linc at 3 o'clock this afternoon, we better be handling our business. Period. We better open up a can of whoop ass and do what we got to do. Do what we got to do. There is no room for any misunderstanding. Y'all know what you got to do. It can't be, we didn't run Saquon enough. We didn't get the ball to AJ enough. Jalen ain't, them excuses is out the door. And I tweeted late last night. Dude, I was streaming live till almost 2 o'clock in the morning last night, bro. And I was like, I put on Twitter last night, how many passing yards are sitting on the couch watching the playoffs now?
I saw you post that.
Passing yards.
I saw that.
You think about all of those, you Joey Burrow, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud. How many passing yards are sitting on the couch?
Jared Goff.
Y'all can have it. Jared Goff. And another one. Jared Goff is another one. Didn't throw a lot of interceptions all year. He had that one bad game where he dropped 5. But after that, he was pretty solid. But now we back to this again. Like, listen, I will take my QB1. You do it the way you've been doing it. Don't change a damn thing. When AJ is open, hit him with the pass. When Devontae is open, hit him with the pass. When Dallas is open, hit him with the pass. Other than that, get the ball to Saquon and let him continue to do Saquon things. Because I got a feeling our offensive line is going to have a chip on their shoulders. Because some rookie out in L.A. was talking that smack and putting up bulletin board material. That's the number 1 rule, especially in this day of social media. You don't get nobody no bulletin board material, especially when you walking into Philly. F around and find out. You're going to learn today.
It's gonna be one of them ones, Marcus. It's gonna be one of them
One of them
ones.
ones.
I love the energy you're on right now.
Man,
Normally,
people hold on. People forget. Was it last year or the year before when the boy from Buffalo came here? He got so frustrated with the crowd. He went in the crowd and smacked the dude. Got to fight with the dude. Man, we are not the one. We are not the one. And you know what? You done messed around and poked the bear, and you're gonna get what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny, right? We have so many angles to really attack this from. You know, let's just start with last night. Briefly talk about what we saw. First and foremost, congratulations to the Washington Commanders for taking care of business and for exceeding all expectations. I mean, let's be honest about this, right? They completely shifted their organization with drafting Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is one of the ones. He's a great quarterback. He's a really, really good quarterback. As far as the Lions go, the Lions, first of all, their first drive, they were 3-and-out, but since then they didn't really have a problem moving that ball. But the problem was turnovers. The problem was not being able to get a stop on defense. I mean, my largest takeaway from that game, through all the fireworks, through all the bullets flying, right, through all the excitement and all the angst, right? The biggest takeaway for me from that game is those defenses have real problems. Real problems. Like that was. I know people were looking at the score, and you know, for the first half score was like 31, 20, 21. It was something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But the thing that stood out to me all night was how bad those defenses were. And you can make an argument that was the worst Detroit's defense has looked all season long, and they were still dropping bodies in the midst of that game. And you can make another argument that Detroit had the worst defense heading into the playoffs. I would take Green Bay's defense over Detroit's. I would take the Buccaneers defense over Detroit's right now. I would take the Eagles defense over Detroit. I would take the Commanders defense over Detroit's. Who else? I would take the Rams defense over Detroit's. I'm trying to think who else. Is anybody I left out? I would take the Vikings defense over Detroit's.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, so Detroit went into the playoffs with the worst defense in the conference, right? So I say to this, and obviously I expect the Eagles to take care of business today, but the Eagles clearly have the best defense remaining in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Bar none. Bar none.
Absolutely. We are ready to go. If you're going to line it up position by position on paper, our offensive line matches up better. Our defensive line matches up better. I am not by any way, shape, or form scared of their linebackers. And our secondary is better. So I'm like, what's the problem? My only concern, honestly, is we better have this game plan tight. You know they're going to blitz. So we can't have 10-yard routes on blitzes. We got to be calling out them hots and getting rid of the ball out of our hands in under 3 seconds. Period. That's the only thing that concerns me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the game last night, Dan Campbell did the exact thing that we talk about Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore not doing, right? They abandoned the run because Jahmyr Gibbs was gutting them early. But they got behind and they were trying to play catch up too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we talk about? Don't get cute. Then we go with the trick plays and stuff like that.
They didn't have to do that. I was watching that game and I'm like, you got plenty of time. You did not have to do that.
Well,
they panicked.
They went in that well one too many times. Because they scored off the one play. So, you know, and credit to Dan Campbell. That's what he's been doing all year. This wasn't new. The law of averages says you're going to pull from that well one too many times and you're going to get got. And that's exactly what happened. Because they even said it on the broadcast. You can't ask your receiver tossing a halfback pass or whatever to read a defense.
In a playoff game? Come on, what are we doing?
Ray Charles could have saw that he was not open. Throw the ball out of bounds. Yeah. But you 100% right. That was not the play for that. I put the ball in the hands of your quarterback that got you there. And you go run a trick play? Come on, son. So once again, just like last year, Dan Campbell's aggressiveness and willing to make those calls bites him in the ass. Yes, he's been doing it all year, but guess what? Now it's time to pay the piper, and they asked for payment at the worst possible time, and you got.
Absolutely, and to make it
I had
even
a, I had a
more.
guy come on. I had a guy come on the stream last night from Detroit, and he was
Wow,
sick.
of
He was sick.
course.
He was sick. So, hey man, you gambled and you lost at home.
Dan Campbell gambled. Here's
He lost at home.
yeah, man. That was a really entertaining game, man.
It
Nonetheless,
was.
and it's going to be really interesting to see how today pans out. Like we said, man, Jared Verse, you can't talk like that when you ain't been here before. You can't do that. And this ain't the organization, this ain't the team to do that against. And you're coming to their home stadium. You're going to have inclement conditions, right? This isn't the situation where you want to get too big for your bridges. But, and also, in my humble opinion, this is the kind of matchup that you really don't have to overthink, or let me say game plan, rather. This is the kind of game plan you really don't have to overthink it. In my humble opinion, and you know this being better than anybody, right? In the NFL, big talented guys beat up on little talented guys. Simple as that. I don't care how fast you think Jared Verse is, or Braden Fisk, or Byron Young, or Corby. I don't care how exciting you think they are. The Philadelphia Eagles have the most dominant offensive line in football, easily the most physical, the largest offensive line in football. I mean, what did your guy Carlos say the other day? He said that they weighed combined of 1,600 plus pounds.
1,600 plus pounds, man. We outweighed him about 30 pounds across the line.
That's the size of an adult male polar bear. I don't know that may be hard for some of you guys to put that in perspective, but polar bears, they ain't all snuggly. So what I'm trying to say is, right, Jared Verse, you're gonna have to go up against Jordan Mailata every snap in this matchup.
Pissed off Jordan Mailata.
Pissed off Jordan Mailata. Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton. You're going to have to go up against an Eagles team that knows that they didn't play their best in the previous week. They know they didn't play their best, and they still beat the team by double-digit points. Last time this team played you, and again, everything that happened in the regular season was there. But the bottom line is your personnel is still your personnel. The last time this offensive line met that defensive line, Saquon Barkley rushed for over 250 yards, had over 300 yards from scrimmage. He had 99, or he had over 90 yards before contact. He had over 100 and something yards after contact. Like, I don't care what you think you can scheme up. I don't care what you think you've changed. You're still the same height. You're still the same weight. Simple as that. And last time I checked, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, all them boys, Pro Bowls and all pros. So,
and what kind of addition did they get on defense? Did they get some people back on defense? And if they did, what's that got to do with the line of scrimmage?
Exactly.
And here's the narrative that's been irritating me. Everybody's talking about, because the Philly hate is on full display this week.
Absolutely.
It was on full display on the television shows, right? And everybody's talking about the Rams are a completely different team than from when we played them in week 12. Okay, I'll give you that.
That's an overrated point, by the way. It's an overrated point. We talked about it, but I'm gonna get into it more.
But here's my point on that. So did we. You think our defense didn't get better since week 12? You think we didn't get healthier since week 12? So we have the same things that happened to us. We got better. We played better as a team. The defense got even better. The defensive line got even better. The secondary got healed up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we are having the same. It's not like the Eagles was just sitting back twiddling their thumbs since week 12, like, oh, we don't have to do nothing else because we beat the Rams in LA. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And everybody's pushing that narrative out like, oh, the Rams are just so much better since back then. Well, they took a couple L's too. And the one thing I still say is the games that we lost after Tampa Bay, mm-hmm. The games we lost, we gave up. Tampa Bay was the only team that beat us. And even when they beat us, we was missing our 3 best players. So
I agree.
Stop with that. And I'm going to use your word, Tone. LA coming in to a buzzsaw right now.
Mm.
And you know who pulled the chain? That damn rookie running his mouth.
I
Can't
couldn't
do
agree
that.
with you more. I
Man, you
couldn't
got
agree with
that
you
big
more.
Samoan on that left tie.
And the
You
funny
about to
thing
catch
about it
hands.
is, right, I hear artists talk about how they're a different team. And I'm sorry, I can't take that seriously when I think about the road traveled. I can't. I think about you playing San Francisco in week 15, Los Angeles. You beat them 12-6. I think about you playing the New York Jets. You beat them 19-9. I think about you playing the Arizona Cardinals in week 17. You beat them 13-9. And I think about you playing the Seattle Seahawks in week 18. You beat them 30-25. Well, I'm sorry, you lost 30-25. Granted, you didn't start some guys, but you lost 30-25.
Right.
And then I think about you playing against the Vikings, who, in my humble opinion, was one of the biggest pretenders to the playoffs. I don't care what that record says. They were one of the biggest pretenders to the playoffs. I knew it from the gun bust. I knew it from the beginning that they are not real. I knew it. And you want me to give credit to a Rams team who has these numbers. See, this is the moment where numbers don't tell the whole story. This is a key example. Numbers don't tell the whole story. What prolific offense or what prolific defense did they face throughout this stretch? Not a single one. Right? What was the rushing attack of these teams that they faced? Not really legitimate. So
not much challenge.
And then the offensive line battle, the trench battle they had to go up against. I mean, this Eagles team is not anything close to what you played or what people are trying to grade them against. So all I'm trying to say is, Rams, it ends today. It ends today. And it's going to be a really electric game to watch because, Saquon Barkley, he's in a state of mind of pure focus, Marcus. After that Green Bay game, Saquon doesn't really curse. He's a very clean-cut dude for the most part.
Right.
After that Green Bay game, he said, listen, I don't care if we put up 400 passing yards, 400 rushing yards. Look, I don't care if we win 3-0. I don't give a fuck. He smell it.
Literally.
He smell it.
Yeah.
He senses
it.
He knows how
close.
He knows how close that they are. And when you think about the path, you had to go up against that Green Bay defense, right? You took your lumps early in the playoffs. Now you get to come back and clean things up. And you're home still. And if you win this game, you can have home field advantage remaining throughout the playoffs. This is a great situation for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I also have a hard time believing that Matthew Stafford is going to be able to be as effective as he would like in this game.
I think they're discounting the weather. I don't care if you do not function on an everyday basis in cold weather, it's going to be a shock to the system. I don't care if you could be from Alaska, but if you spent the last 10, 15 years in a warm weather city, that's going to affect you. And hell, even his time in Detroit, you can't really say that in Detroit because they in a dome, so that don't count.
Exactly.
That
and
don't
he
count.
He was the quarterback last time we had this snow game in Philly. Yeah. He was the quarterback, and he did not fare well at all.
So I'm expecting Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith to be on notice because Nolan Smith is still going to be coming off that edge, and let's see if Matthew Stafford can move like he want to move in this cold weather. It might take a couple pulls on that lawnmower for him to get going, but the rules are not going to change. He's going to try to get rid of the ball quickly, so the routes are going to be short to mid. Every now and then he's going to take that shot, and we just got to look at what they did last time. For some reason, they kept getting those 10-yard outs. We kept playing off of Nakua and Cooper Kupp, and he kept throwing them. He was throwing them dimes right at the sideline, and they were running those deep outs, coming back, catching them on the sideline, and it was like, why are those passes always open? Hopefully they didn't looked at that on tape, and Vic Fangio got a solution for that. But we have got to get to a situation where Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Ajomo Milt, they all got to get home. Josh Sweat, we ain't called his name in a couple weeks. It's time for them to start getting home because this is where it matters.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at the injury report right now. For the most part, the Eagles are healthy and a full go. Obviously, you got guys who are on IR and not activated, of course. But as far as active players, Saquon Barkley was a full participant in practice Thursday and Friday. He's good to go. AJ Brown, he was limited Thursday, full participant Friday. He's good to go. Dallas Goedert did not practice Thursday, was limited on Friday with the illness, but he's good to go. Cam Jurgens was rested on Wednesday, full participant Thursday and Friday. He's good to go. Jordan Mailata was rested on Wednesday, full participant Thursday and Friday. He's good to go. Kenny Pickett with the ribs, he was a full participant all week. Josh Sweat with rest, did not practice on Wednesday, but a full participant Thursday and Friday. And then Byron Young, the D tackle that they picked up from the Raiders, full participant all week, but he's not active today. So he was dealing with a hamstring. As far as the Rams go, Tyler Higbee with a chest injury. He was limited on Wednesday, limited Thursday, full participant Friday. He's likely going to play. Akila Witherspoon with a thigh injury. Didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, was limited on Friday. He may play. Bobby Brown III, nose tackle, didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. Likely he will not play. So their defensive line takes a hit. They're all old linemen. Alaric Jackson didn't practice Wednesday, was a full participant Thursday, did not practice on Friday with a chest injury. So he's been in and out of the practice lineup. He's definitely questionable. Defensive tackle, Laurel Murchison with a foot injury. No designation on Wednesday, full participant Thursday and Friday. He's been declared out. Troy Redder, inside linebacker, hamstring, no designation Wednesday, full participant Thursday and Friday. He's been declared out. And then Justin Diedich, guard with an illness, didn't practice all week and he's questionable. So, for me, the name that stands out is Witherspoon, their starting corner. I saw him get hurt, and even though he was limited on Friday, that doesn't mean he's going to exactly be good to go for the game. Especially again, this goes back to that cold weather, man. Like that cold weather will shock your ass if you're not used to it. And the Eagles have been, and it's been snowing pretty much throughout the week in Philly. The Eagles have been practicing in these conditions.
Yeah, it hasn't been anything crazy. I know they had the one footage out where it was some heavy flurries.
Flurries.
But it's definitely been cold. It has definitely been cold. And just the fact that Sirianni had him at the stadium, getting used to the grass and all of that type of stuff, and just getting used to the elements out there. Because that one day they were practicing, it was cold outside. And Jalen was out there with sleeveless. So that's just getting your body attuned to it. And getting ready to go. And it looks like, checking the weather today, we're going to get a lot of freezing rain. I don't know how much is going to actually snow, but there is a wave of freezing rain coming over Philadelphia. So probably it's going to be kind of ugly at game time. So, that is definitely going to be to our advantage, by the time this nastiness gets here, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, let me clear something up real quick. So I mentioned how it was snowing all week. I misspoke. It was actually snowing for one day. I saw the footage. So flex and relax. Okay, we're having a conversation. All right, every part of the conversation ain't gonna be as crisp or ain't gonna be as nip and tuck as you would like it, flexing. So relax, my G. The bottom line is it was flurrying on Friday, and when they was practicing, and they had to deal with it, and they've been dealing with the elements, and this team's prepared. So stay focused on the main thing and stop focusing on the things that don't really matter. Flexing. Nonetheless, I think somebody I'm going to be looking at in this game, obviously, Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts has been dealing with a lot of criticism since that Green Bay game. I mean, he's been dealing with his fair share of criticism all year long, but in particular after that Green Bay game, a lot of people kept saying, is Jalen Hurts going to hold back this team? He should be doing more with this roster, all of those things, right? When in reality, two passing touchdowns, no turnovers. Listen, he didn't shock the world with his passing numbers, but the bottom line is he was effective, protected the football, moved the chains in key moments, started off strong, ended the game strong. Sure, had his cold spell in the midst of that game, second quarter, beginning of third, but for the most part, he started the game 6 for 6, ended the game 7 for 8. So he was sharp. And then Saquon Barkley took over that game on the back end. So again, I was also looking up the numbers. I was also looking, kind of reminding myself of how that snow game went with Shady. And
Yeah.
and Saquon was like, I got in touch with Shady to see how he dealt with it or things of that nature, right?
Absolutely.
I just think that this team has been getting a lot of unfair criticism all the way around. It's starting with the quarterback, and they're built for any scenario, and Jalen Hurts is built to do whatever he needs to do to win the football game. And I just have a hard time understanding why people continue to look at him as if he's been a losing quarterback with winning assets. You get what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
but
really make sense to me.
but come on, Tone. You know why? You
I
know
know.
why?
I know.
They want to hate on Philly. You got a little ism to it because he's not your stereotypical quarterback.
Right.
As much as Jaden Daniels runs around, he's still a much better passer right now than Jalen Hurts because if you look at that 2022 year, he was throwing the ball all over the place. But that's just not the way we run in the offense right now, and it's still effective. And it goes back to the point I said when I put that tweet out last night. How many passing yards are sitting on the couch right now going to be watching this game today? A lot.
Good
So
point.
y'all can have all of your, however it looks, it looks. People forget what Trent Dilfer did when he went to the Super Bowl with that Ravens defense.
Good point.
People called him a game manager and all of that kind of stuff. And you know what? That Super Bowl ring still shines the same. At some point, he had to score some points, didn't he? And he did what he had to do. Now, if he would have lost and the Ravens would have lost that Super Bowl, okay, that's a valid argument. But all he did, he didn't get in there and he didn't throw for 8 million yards. He did what he had to do. They called him a game manager, whatever. He game managed himself a Super Bowl ring. And there's still a bunch of people that threw a ton of yards more than him that ain't got one. So you know what? I bet there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league right now that would trade all the living yards to have at least an opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts, if he plays his cards right, he might be his second Super Bowl in what, 4 years?
Yeah.
That's it. Hold on. Let me do my math. Carry the two. That's 50%.
Not bad.
He done been to the Super
bad.
Bowl. If he takes care of business today, he will have the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, or at least he'll be playing for the conference championship.
Absolutely.
Twice in 4 years.
Right. Not many guys got that on their resume. Yet they have all the passing accolades. Right. One thing I know about Jalen Hurts is he ain't gonna lose you the game. There's one thing I do know. I can't think of a game on record. I can't think of one, at least since he's been a starter. I can't think of a game where I felt like he lost us the game, right? And we could probably nitpick, right? That, like you said, that Buccaneers game earlier in the season, you were missing a bunch of guys, things of that nature, right? You had to overcome a lot. But I just can't think of a game. No game really comes to mind that I said, oh yeah, okay, Jalen Hurts lost that game, or Jalen Hurts, what are you doing? Blah 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 blah. All of those things, right? When you think about Sean McVay and his defensive coordinator, Shula, I forget his first name, but he's the grandson of Don Shula. And you think about what they did against the Vikings schematically, I have a hard time believing what they did would translate in this game against this matchup against these opponents, the Philadelphia Eagles.
And let's not forget, the Vikings were without their best offensive lineman. He had got hurt 4 weeks earlier. He tore his knee 4 weeks earlier. I forget what game it was. It was right before the half. Is it Kennesaw? I think that was his name. He was an offensive tackle for the Vikings, their best offensive lineman, and he got hurt 30 seconds before half.
Wow. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes, you're right. You're right.
I got a couple of good friends that are Vikings fans, and they were sick with that because he's their best dude. And you got to take that into consideration. So they did what they did. They got the 9 sacks on Sam Darnold. Okay, you can have that, but this ain't the Vikings offensive line. So y'all want to hang your hat on that? You go ahead. You can do that. But guess what? Every time there's been a challenge to a defense or an offense that we can't stop, Vic Fangio has stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park. He's knocked it out of the park. We've done that against, we did that against Baltimore. We did that against the Rams because remember when we played the Rams in week 12, everybody was talking that same yak that the Rams, this is different. You got a all-pro quarterback that can put all of the same stuff about Stafford. I'm not trying to take nothing away from Stafford, but Stafford can't beat a whole defense by himself. And you know what? We put boot to ass and did what we had to do. So the same things remain. And again, yes, they're a different team than they were from week 12, but so are we. So are we. So y'all can bring that noise into the Linc if you want to. But at 3:00, they got to step on the field, and we're going to see what Jared Verse is talking about and everybody else, and Byron Young and everybody on that defense. We're going to see what they're talking about. So
and that defense did put up 9 sacks on the Vikings, just to add that to the pot. But the reality is, again, like, this isn't the same offensive line that you faced last week. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're smarter. Just all across the board, they're healthier, right? So, yeah, I just feel like Jared Verse really did his team. He didn't do his team any justice. Not one bit. Not one bit.
And just like I said at the beginning, man, whatever they did to the Vikings, that was last week. Because let's be real, if the Commanders and Detroit were to play again tomorrow, who would take the Commanders and who would take Detroit? Would your outlook change a little bit? Like it would still be the same. In my opinion, I think most people would probably still take Detroit.
Yeah.
So, but again, when you're in the playoffs, you play the game that's in front of you. You can't think behind. You can't remember what you did, and you can't look ahead. You got to play what's on your plate. And this is where I give Nick Sirianni supreme credit. Because I've said this before about him, back when everybody wanted to have him fired and stuff like that. The one thing that Sirianni does better than most coaches in the league, I put Dan Campbell in that category. I even put McVay in that category. Dan Campbell more so because he's more of a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Sirianni is not a former NFL player, he's got that vibe about him, and people gravitate towards him.
Yeah, he played in college.
Remember when I said this last year when we shit the bed at the end of last season?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we talked about Fletcher Cox giving that speech at the end when he let everybody know that this was his last game? He didn't have to do that. And I was like, wait a minute. That was his moment. He didn't have to bring Sirianni into that conversation. That was all about him. But he brought him in because it meant that much to him. And I was like, hold on, this dude is different. Regardless of what we see in the yakking and yapping on the sidelines and all of that type of stuff in the locker room, this dude is different and it's resonating with those players, especially when you got somebody walking out the door. And so, fast forward to now, all of the bullshit that we've been dealing with, all of the made up stories, AJ Brown and he reading the book and he complained about passing, he throwing Jalen under all of that stuff. Just kept it in stride, like you said, keeping the main thing, and having open communications and all of that kind of stuff. Remember, all of them people were asking, what does a CEO head coach do? Well, now you know. It's not as easy as people think. And even if you're the guru or the offense or the guru or the defense, it is supremely difficult to manage a professional NFL team and still do all of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why so many few players or so many few coaches that can actually do it. If you were good coordinator, you get that head coaching gig. I don't know. Look at all of the stuff that Shane Steichen is going through. Ain't as easy as you think.
Absolutely.
So, all the credit to Sirianni for doing what he got to do, keeping everybody facing in the same direction, and putting out all of them dumbass fires that the media likes to create. And matter of fact, got to give him extra credit because he put out the big fire that the players actually created.
Yeah, that was a fire for sure. That was a fire for sure.
So you know what? Everybody's in the same direction. They are going to be prepared for this game, and I believe they're going to handle business.
Absolutely. Eagles fans, everybody tuned into the live stream. We have well over 700 people tuned into this live stream, you guys.
What?
This
Let's
is
go.
this is spectacular. You guys are doing you guys are doing an amazing job supporting the show. It means a lot to us. It goes a long way. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both their channels. Again, we are live on 2 channels. But let's go on the like spree, y'all. If it's 700 people on y'all here, I don't see why I shouldn't see 700 likes. You feel you feel me, Marcus? I mean, I see a grand total of 778 people watching this live stream, but the likes not matching up. So you guys, that like button is power. That like button is currency in this YouTube space. Use it, exercise it. The only way this show grows, the only way we have enough people in this show like we do now, is when you guys hit that like button. We got to spread the word. We got to spread the love. We got to spread the wealth, right? Smash that like button on Pro Fan Talk. You know what I'm saying? If you got to go back and forth, if you got to have both of them open on the TV or both of them open, one on the phone, one on the TV, whatever, one on the laptop, whatever it is, smash that like button, you guys. Let's go on the like spree. I need to
Come on,
see.
y'all know how to
I
have
need to
2
see
tabs open at the same time. Stop
exactly. You can mute one of them. You know what I mean? Open 2 tabs, mute one of them, show love to the kids. You feel me? So let's go on the like spree. I need to see 700 likes by the end of this live stream. I know that's a tall task. That's a tall task. But 700 plus people in the stream, there's no reason why we shouldn't see 700 likes, man. No reason. So make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. You guys are tuned into your Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk, and I am Tony DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Okay, so I want to get into Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp versus the Eagles defensive backs, right? You know, last time the Eagles had to deal with Puka Nacua, he gained 78 of his 117 receiving yards when aligned tight against the Eagles in Week 12, the 4th most by any wide receiver in a single game in the Next Gen Stats era. It says Nacua recorded 15 targets, 9 receptions, and 151 yards over the regular season from tight alignments, all the most among players at his position. So they like to have him in those bunch formations a lot, and they like to set him up with those motions and screens and things of that nature. So when you think about, again, this weather is going to have a strong influence on the passing game for sure. When you think about that aspect of it and the Eagles DBs and the fact that although the Rams have a good running back, he has a fumbling problem. When you put all that into the same pot of gumbo, how do you see Matthew Stafford and his offense dealing with this number 1 defense?
I think they're gonna try to do the same thing they did last time. Let's not be confused or misunderstood, right? Sean McVay is no dummy. He's keep it a buck. He got a Super Bowl ring. He got a chip.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what he's doing. And you know what? It's not complicated. What he's going to do is he's going to go back the last 4 or 5 games and look what other teams did against us and cherry pick things that were successful. That's what he's going to do. That's what any coach worth their salt would do. So we got to be able to withstand that. And now we talk about the chessboard. What are the back and forth moves that Vic Fangio is going to make? As far as our secondary, Quinyon Mitchell did not. I believe it was Quinyon or Cooper Kupp. I can't remember, not Cooper Kupp, but Cooper DeJean. I don't remember Puka Nacua. I think it was Cooper DeJean that he got the best of that game because he did have a good game. And it's like we've been watching tape too. So we're going to make some adjustments, and we're not going to let him go across the middle of the field like he did in Week 12. We got to limit some of that stuff, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back and look at some of the games that they won and some of the games that they lost, and we're going to see what other teams did against them that was successful. And we're going to follow suit. And you know what? Quinyon remembers that game. Cooper DeJean remembers that game. They watch tape, and they're going to try to take it amongst a point amongst themselves to not get beat like they got beat back in Week 12. That's what you do as a player. You watching film. They've been in the film room all week. They looking for tells. They looking for hints, anything that they can figure out. And like, okay, we got to do a better job than we did last time.
Hey, check this, Marcus. Peep this to your point, right? It says here, Cooper Kupp caught 8 of his 11 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown in Week 12 against the Eagles, recording all but one 8-yard reception from a slot alignment, right? It says here, despite that, Cooper DeJean aligned across Cup on 9 of his 37 routes, which was 24.3% of the time, the most of any Eagle, allowing 3 receptions for 11 yards across 5 targets. So whenever DeJean was on Cooper Kupp, he was a non-factor and was not able to affect the game. On top of that, Cooper Kupp is not the same receiver. He doesn't have the same get off. I don't think he scares as many people as he used to. And I think the Rams understand that. If you even pay attention to that Vikings game, they game plan around Puka more than they do Cooper Kupp now.
Right.
And I just think this is a situation. I think this is a situation where, you eliminate Puka Nacua, you force his other guys to beat you, and you put Matthew Stafford in that offense, and you put Matthew Stafford in that offense in a precarious situation.
You know what? I think Darkest Void, I think you're right. I may have been thinking about Thielen, not Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Adam Thielen is the one that got the best of him.
Yeah.
That was his welcome to the NFL moment, which he openly admits.
Good call, Darkest Void. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And Cooper Kupp has battled injury all throughout the year, but the reality is, I watched that Vikings game. He's not the same guy.
Yeah,
and he had plenty of time to recover. He's lost a step. That's a fact. So, look, man. Also, this Eagles pass rush, right? That's something we really didn't get that much into, right? I'm thinking about what Jalen Carter and Milton Williams did previously, Nolan Smith and those guys, what they did to them last time. They recorded 5 sacks on Matthew Stafford. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking about a similar result. I really am.
If ever there was a time to send the dogs, today's that time. If whatever you're gonna dial up, dial it up. Vic Fangio, this is your moment. This is when you can shut somebody down and really just people can really figure out how good our defense is. Because the one thing that has remained consistent is Jalen Carter in the middle. And what I mean is consistently, the word is out on him. So Jalen Carter demands a double team. And we talked about this early in the year, Tone, if you remember. When Jalen Carter gets that double team, everybody on the outside is eating. And that's exactly what's happened. Josh Sweat, Ajomo, Milt Williams, and of course, the young fella, Jalix Hunt, and Nolan Smith has been eating the best. So have they figured out an answer for Jalen Carter yet? No. So once again, something's got to give.
And there's plenty of film on him. There's plenty of tape because he plays 80+% of the time. He's giving you a lot of tape, and these guys still can't figure out his movements, can't figure out his tells. He's just so quick off he's so quick off the snap. And
I just saw somebody in the chat, and I agree 100%. I'm trying to find out who that was saying that they're looking for Big Jordan Davis to have a good game. And yep, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. We can make LA one dimensional. So we can get to the point where y'all not gonna run the ball on us. Because both Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, remember, so they ain't got to make the play to make the play.
That's a good point. We talked about that.
Yeah, they infiltrate and beat you on the line of scrimmage, and you cause that running back to change direction before he gets to the line of scrimmage. You've done your job. Now it's for the rest of the defense to finish it. And that's the benefit of having Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the field at the same time.
That's a good point.
You gotta pick. You can't do both. And somebody's gonna come free. So, and let me tell you something. If we can do that against Baltimore, we can do that against LA. Especially at home.
Now, here's the caveat that we haven't really gotten into yet. Despite all our confidence, despite how talented this team is, there is something we left out. The Eagles will be without Nakobe Dean for the remainder of this playoffs, in particular this game. And we're not exactly sure which direction Fangio will go in this game. Will he go Oren Burks, the guy with the experience, who had not the worst game against the Green Bay Packers? I feel like his performance, as far as how bad it was, is being completely overstated. Overstated. And it's being held against him in the worst way for some odd reason. And then the young guy, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who hasn't been in this kind of situation before. His father played for the Eagles. You know, I'm sure he's gotten all the jewels, all the conversations,
all of it,
everything of what to look for from his dad. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm curious. I'm curious about your perspective on this because it's not an easy decision. Do we see something where Fangio has those guys has those guys implemented in various packages? Do we see one guy consistently out there? Will Fangio feel his way around this and decide ultimately by maybe second or third quarter, okay, he's going to play the rest of the game? Is he going to just continue to keep his eye on those guys?
I honestly look at this situation the same way I looked at Kenny Pickett after the Washington game. Let's see what Kenny Pickett does when he's got a week's worth of reps with the first team. Oren Burks and Trot Jr. are in the same boat. Because I'm here to tell you, the 2s and the 3s don't get many reps. It's all mental stuff. But it's a different situation when you actually on the field getting reps with the first team all week. And I think that's what Oren Burks is going to get. And I've said this before, to me, Vic Fangio is very quickly approaching Jeff Stoutland territory. Meaning, whatever player he gets the best out of. We never worry about getting some offensive lineman if they under Jeff Stoutland for a couple weeks. Jeff Stoutland's going to have them right. Vic Fangio is entering that territory in my mind. Everybody he gets in here, he gets the best out of them. For what, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what he put in the water. Whatever it is, it's working. Nakobe Dean, we were down on him last year. Do we even need to talk about Zach Bond?
Not at all.
Do we even need to talk about C.J. Gardner-Johnson? So whatever he's doing, the way he's talking to him, the way he's coaching them up, it's working. So now you got Oren Burks, who has Super Bowl experience.
Very true. And he hits. He's very physical.
He's played in big games. So now he's got a week with the ones. Let's just assume that it's going to be Oren Burks. He's got a week with the ones. So I'm expecting his play to be a lot better than it was when you just shove somebody out there. The same thing happened with Isaiah Rodgers. We stuck Isaiah Rodgers out there when I think Slay got hurt one game, and it wasn't the best. Then you bring him back after a week of practice and preparation with the ones, and you see the play a little bit better because it's a different ball game when you're not expecting to go in and they shove you out there. It is much easier to stay ready than it is to get ready.
The Green Bay game, right? Exactly. Rodgers came in for a few snaps, and they tried to test him early. Defended the end zone beautifully. Turned his head, swatted the ball, no dice.
And the only way you get like that is just with reps, because regardless of if you know what to do, it's still a little bit different when you haven't been on the field, when you've been watching from practice. It's just different like that. You got to be ready to go. And it's hard to do that standing on the sideline all game.
Yeah.
All game. So Oren Burks, Trot Jr., both of them are going to be ready to play. I think Oren Burks is going to get the call, and he's had a week worth of practice. So I think he's going to be ready. I'm not concerned about that.
Do you think Sean McVay and those guys try to pick at that scab a little bit?
Yes. They'd be crazy not to. Let's use common sense. If you see a weakness or if you see an injury, you think we're not going to go at the new cornerback? You think we haven't looked at the scouting reports? Who's hurt in the Rams secondary? Oh, we going after him. I know they say 100%, but is he 100%? You think they? Come on, man.
He was limited. He was limited on Friday, man. So who knows if he even plays?
Let me put everybody on game. All right. When you warming up at an NFL game, there are people on the sidelines where their sole purpose is to watch this player, watch that player, just to see what they look like warming up. Are they limping? Are they favoring? Were they going full speed and warm up? They normally go full speed and warm up. So if they weren't this time, that means he must be hurt. He must be, there's people that that's all they doing is watching. So they'll know who's up to snuff, who's 100% and who's not. And my biggest concern is I don't want Kellen Moore to have some BS play calling where it's, 2nd and 10 and he want to throw the ball on 2nd and 10, and then we end up trying to run the ball on 3rd and 8.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
That was strange.
You know, so I want to see a little bit more common sense and smarter play call. And I want to see short, quick routes. I want to see A.J. Brown getting the ball off the quick slants. Because, again, I've been saying this all year. A.J. Brown on the quick slant, he's known to break a tackle or two.
Guaranteed.
You know how I feel. The long ball is overrated. You ain't got to throw the ball 30, 40 yards down the field. Throw that 5-yard in, get the ball to your playmakers and let them make plays. That's what we got. I want to see Saquon get about 4 or 5 check down passes today. Because at the end of the day, as long as he gets the ball with space, he is going to make something happen. I don't care if it's a handoff. I would prefer it be a pitch. But if it's a check down and he got 5 yards before the nearest linebacker, and again, them linebackers don't scare me, so I'm going to take Saquon in that battle every time.
I mean, that Rams defense, they rely heavily on that front four, heavily. If that front four is not making an impact, that defense can be had.
They struggle.
You know what I'm saying? They struggle.
They struggle. So I just need Kellen Moore. We need to use the play action. We need to use the play action out of pistol. I don't know how many examples of a true play action I saw this week, and I saw it yesterday in the Detroit game. Detroit was killing them, and then they had to go away from it. But I keep saying this over and over again. Hopefully, somebody at the Eagles will watch this. Whenever your quarterback sticks his arm out and sticks the arm out, the linebackers instinctually will flow with the ball. See ball, get ball. And it creates space in the middle of the field for open receivers. You got to take advantage of that. But you got to use true play action. That play action out of gun formation don't do nothing.
It don't. Because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't pull the linebackers in the way, lining up ace formation or pistol. It doesn't pull them the same way. Because at the end of the day, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, because at the end of the day, when a quarterback turns his back to the line of scrimmage to do a handoff, you got to respect it.
Yes.
You got to respect it.
Yes. And take it one step further. The only way a play action out of gun works is if you've been running the RPO.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Jalen has to pull it a few times just to keep him honest. Did you notice Detroit got that penalty when I think it was the defensive end that tackled Jay Daniels after he faked?
Correct.
I was like, that's bull. I said, because if he pulls that ball and he takes off, what are you supposed to do as a defense? He did what he was supposed to do.
That's what I was saying last night. I was talking to my wife about the game, and her and I watched that play happen in real time. And my wife is starting to catch on to football and stuff, so she's starting to react to games even when they're not Eagles. You know what I'm saying? She's starting to catch on a little bit. And we were watching the Chiefs-Texans game, and we saw a lot of the BS calls that were happening in the favor of Patrick Mahomes. Right, some of those calls that he got was just nonsensical.
That was suspect.
And then we got to that Commanders game, and we saw that exact play you mentioned. And I said, see, these refs are being inconsistent for one, and for two, what do you expect the defender to do in that situation? Now, exactly. her eyes said, well, Tone, he knew he had that ball. I said, no, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. When you have a quarterback with that kind of skill set that can pull the ball and run it at a moment's notice, you have to pursue. And although they called that penalty, I want my defender doing that every single time. Yeah. I want that quarterback to be afraid of pulling that ball, or two, if you do pull that ball, he getting cracked.
Exactly.
It's just that simple. So I don't think it's a fair situation they put a lot of these defenders in, and it was on full display in that Chiefs game in particular. For example, when Mahomes was scrambling and he was like almost like stuck in the mud, just scrambling in place. And I'm like, yo, what do you expect the defender to do? He's just playing around out there. To the point where you even heard Joe Buck and Troy Aikman say, listen, man, like, what are we doing here? Like,
what are we doing?
As a quarterback, you can't just be floating out there and think nobody going to touch you. What are we doing? And I really appreciated that unbiased, perspective from them. And look, it's a gift and a curse when you got a guy that can make plays with his legs. It's a gift and a curse. And ultimately, look, the reality is when the play works in your favor, you're never mad. But when it doesn't work in your but when it doesn't work in your favor, you have all the angst in the world. So even my opinion on this is flawed, because if it was Jalen Hurts that got the call, I'm gonna be cool with it.
Yeah, but think about it. When he went down in Washington, that was a helmet-to-helmet hit that didn't get called.
On Louisville, right? Yeah.
That was a helmet-to-helmet hit that didn't get called because he was a runner.
Louisville a little nasty, man. Did you see what he did to golf last night? He nasty.
Yeah. He got a mean streak on. But
I kind of like that though.
We talked about this in the competition committee meeting, and that's one of those things where they're gonna start looking at that on replay assist. I'm surprised they didn't do it. Obviously, they're not gonna do that. They haven't been doing stuff like that this year, but I think next year that's gonna be when they miss calls like that. When they miss calls that can cause potential injury, that's how they're laying it out. So, like, for instance, I forget what game where they missed that really bad face mask on Dallas Goedert.
Yeah,
the refs just missed it. So they're looking at a situation where the replay assist can help on plays like that, where there's no misunderstanding was a penalty. So we'll see how that go. But I think you said the correct word, where the refs are just so inconsistent. And you already know that the Boo Birds was out last night and the conspiracy theorists. And you know what? You can't get mad at them. Because especially when you see plays like that that happen every time with the Chiefs, you know they're going to hear it. You know they're going to hear it. And then they always had the refs give some BS attitude because somebody catches the refs and tries to get a statement. And then their explanation is like, come on, son. Like really? Like that's what we doing now? And it doesn't look good for the NFL. So they have to figure out a way to change it. I know in the meetings that I've been a part of, that is something that they are looking at, but that change can't come soon enough. But even when they make the change, there's still going to be a flip side of that. The people that get the bad end of the call are still going to be mad. So it's like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
What's your biggest concern heading into this game for the Philadelphia Eagles? Give me a concern that you have for the Eagles, and give me a concern that you foresee for the Rams.
My biggest concern with the Eagles is Kellen Moore's game plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest concern. If we know blitzes are coming, why is nobody hot routes, all of that kind of stuff? Like, that's the, I know Dan Orlovsky said some things last week, and he made some good points, and I went back and watched the game myself, and I agreed with him to a point, because there were a lot of situations where they had everything covered, and I'm with him. I'm like, that's a good point. How come they seem like they got us fished out? The other part of that is that that's what film study is for. So why can't we just say that they were supremely ready for the Eagles?
Right.
And it's up to the offensive coordinator. If you see they know what's coming, we got to change it up. There's a couple of chapters in your playbook that you haven't opened up. You got to open it up. But if you're not doing that, that means you haven't practiced them. So your options are limited. So we say that so easily, open up the playbook and run some stuff that we haven't run before. Well, you don't want to run nothing you haven't practiced. So you don't know what's going to happen.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. So you got to stay within the things that you have practiced and the guys are ready for, and they can run proficiently. So there's a little give and take there, but I want to see Kellen Moore. Because I've seen him do it before. Jalen's had good passing games. We've had good running games, and we've had both together. So there's no reason why we can't do it again. And I made the example, like, I don't want to see us running on 3rd and 9. Run on 2nd and 9. And let Saquon get the, 4 or 5 yards, or possibly get a first down to make it 3rd and manageable. I like that option better.
Agreed.
Just things like that. I don't want to be in a situation like, Lord have mercy, why are we running this bubble screen again? Everybody know we running the bubble screen. And I don't want to see Devontae Smith or AJ out there trying to block a quarterback or a linebacker. I don't want to see that. There's other ways to get the ball outside than a bubble screen. Because when I see bubble screen, immediately I think of they're rushing the offense and they can't think of nothing else they want to run. That's what I think when I see a bubble screen.
Interesting.
I would rather see, and again, they did it last night. I would rather see you run a play action, a fake off tackle to the running back. And then, no. I was watching when Detroit played the Rams. And Detroit ran a play where they faked it to Jahmyr Gibbs off the right side. He went off tackle and just continued on in the flats. The cornerback or the linebacker, I can't remember who it was, but they were probably about 5 to 8 yards off the ball. So when Jahmyr Gibbs gets past the line of scrimmage, if Jared Goff throws that ball to him immediately, that's like a pitch to the outside, and he's got about 5 yards till he has to deal with the first defender. I'm going to take my odds on Saquon Barkley or Jahmyr Gibbs or your running back making that first man miss, because that's his job. I will take that. And even if he makes the tackle, you making a tackle 5 yards forward. So that's a 5-yard gain. I look at it from that standpoint. There's ways you can throw the ball, and all it is just a glorified run.
Right.
But you got to do it You got to do it correctly, and you got to get the ball out of your hands super quick.
It's interesting. And I asked you, right? You gave me the Eagles perspective. If you're a Rams fan, if you're supporting the Rams, what's your biggest concern going into this game?
If I was a Rams fan, my biggest concern would be Saquon. Because you gotta, most people that don't watch film and all of that kind of stuff, they're gonna look at what happened last game. And Saquon ripped them a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they got to be worried about. They're probably worried about, we can't play the same defense we did last time because Saquon went for 250. So that's what I would think as a Rams fan. We got to figure out a way to stop Saquon this time. So that's where they're going to put all of their eggs. So I'm looking, this might be another Dallas Goedert game.
Yes. I think he's somebody that should really take advantage of this game. Again, I just think the Eagles, top to bottom, on both sides of the ball, bigger, stronger, faster, however you want to slice it. I think the Eagles are just better in every category. And for me, through all the X's and O's, through it all, I look at this matchup in particular very simply. You ran for over 300 yards on this team. You ran for Saquon Barkley had over 250 yards rushing, over 300 yards from scrimmage. Saquon Barkley quite literally took advantage of these guys. The offensive line took advantage of these guys. I look at this game very, very simply. This matchup very simply. If this offensive line is doing what we expect them to do, there's nothing the Rams are going to be able to do to stop our offense. There's nothing they're going to be able to do, right? And then at that point, now you get to the Eagles defense. I fully expect the Eagles defense to do their job. And I think that's the one thing that continues to be underrated, despite the Eagles do have a number one defense. I feel like that's something that's still being underrated or not talked about enough. And me personally, as talented as we are on offense, I'm of the mindset. I think this defense will be the reason why we do everything we want to do. This defense, I mean, holding the Green Bay Packers to the numbers that they held them towards, knowing what they've been doing all year, is remarkable, right? And they talked about the Rams having this electric passing attack. And when they met the Eagles, all of that was null and void, right? And then, again, back to the Rams defense, they're awful at stopping the run. They're giving up one of the highest benchmarks in terms of opponent yards per rush. On the season, they were giving up 4.6 yards per rush. 4.6 yards. That's 26th in the league. They were giving up 128 plus yards per game. That's 21st in the league. I just look at this. I look at this Rams defense, and sure, they've gotten better. But in my humble opinion, there are certain things about your team, no matter what you do, you just can't fix because you're not built to stop it. The Rams are a finesse team. They're built to play on turf. They're kind of similar to the Detroit Lions. They're finesse.
Great point.
They're built to play. They're built to play indoors. They're not built to play in these circumstances because these type of circumstances aren't common. But when you're in a situation where you do got to come to Philly, and it has become common for you, and it is going to be the standard for you today, it's not going to be it's not going to be smooth sailing for those boys. It's really not. I really feel like their offense is going to sputter a lot today, and it's going to come down to the Philadelphia Eagles offense just putting up the points they got to put up. And on top of that, this Eagles defense has been turning the ball over a lot lately,
Yeah.
like a lot, and like in bunches. And you know they always say when turnovers come, they come in bunches. So
Yeah.
let's really put it in perspective, right? That Steelers game, they forced 1 turnover, right? That Commanders game, they forced 5, so that's a total of 6. The Cowboys game, they forced 4, so that's 10 now. And the Giants game, you forced 1, that's 11. And then the Green Bay game, you forced 4, that's 15. You forced 15 turnovers over the course of the past 5 games. That's the average of 3 turnovers forced per game, and they haven't had those numbers all year long. They've just been playing clean defense and getting turnovers here and there. But this defense is not only playing good defense situationally, but now they're forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
In bunches. This is not going to be an easy proposition for Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and that offense. It quite frankly isn't.
Now, and that kind of leads me to one of the points I wanted to make was the Eagles have to continue to bring the physicality.
That's been the difference. The Eagles have been the more physical team thus far. And
the one thing
I haven't seen a team playing as physical as them yet. Just not yet. I haven't seen it.
The one
maybe
thing
Houston, but they're out of it.
I give Washington all the credit in the world for that game last night.
Absolutely.
They matched
hostile territory.
Detroit's physicality. Yes, they matched Detroit's physicality all the way. And I would even argue that they were even the more physical team last night. They were the more physical. Terry McLaurin breaking tackles like that.
Yeah,
come on.
Crazy. Yeah.
They had it in their mindset to be the more physical team. And that doesn't change when you're talking about the Eagles. We got a CJ Gardner-Johnson. You remember that hit that he laid on that running back to get him to put the ball on the ground. You got to continue that level of physical play to let them know they in for a game. They came to the wrong house. They knocked on the wrong door. And we got to let them know every series. Now, I want to see what, again, kind of going back to Kellen Moore, are we going to start off in tempo again? Are we going to get the engine warmed up, running the ball right off the bat? I need to see that. And as much as I love when Saquon gets an opportunity to run outside, this might be one of those games where you got to keep it tackle to tackle, because you got to have 2 hands on the ball because it's going to be slippery and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you don't want to force him to have to do too much on the outside. You can slip in, when you try to cut up field, whatever it may be. You're right. This is going to be a situation where you want to be in tackle. You want north and south, right? And it's so funny. Shady McCoy in that game, in the snow game, it got to a point where he realized, oh, I ain't got to do all that cutting like I'm used to.
Yeah,
I just got to follow the blocking and just make my one move, because the snow going to do the rest for me. I just gotta do me. You know what I'm saying? I think Marcus, I think this is going to be a really exciting game. You guys are tuned into the Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Coach Markus. Does amazing work on his YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed and locked in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShills II. Make sure you guys are also smashing that like button, you guys. Again, we have well over 700 people in this live stream, man. Make sure you guys stay locked in. Stay locked in, man. The show only gets better. We appreciate you guys for your super chats as well. We're going to get to those shortly. But make sure you guys continue to smash that like button. Like I always tell you guys, the like button is currency in this YouTube space. It is the lifeblood. It's how we grow. It's how we earn. It's how we build this thing. It's how we build community. Make sure you guys continue to hit that like button on both YouTube channels. Like I said, well over 700 people in the stream. The like button not matching up. So we need you guys to do your job, to do your thing. And it'll mean the world to us if you guys continue to stay active. And make sure you guys are subscribed and smashing that like button. So that's what we're gonna do, Marcus. I want to get to these super chats real quick. Let's see where these take. Let's see where these take us. And then
real quick,
yes.
Before you hit the super chats, just want everybody to know that weather screen in my background, that is live. That is a live feed from the Weather Channel, so you see it coming.
That snow ain't going that snow ain't going nowhere no time soon.
Nah, this is what it looks like at 3:00. So just to let y'all know, the Eagles Stadium is probably about right here, just to the left of that little dot. So we're gonna get the tail end of all of this snow. Not much in South Jersey where I am, but right there in Philly, that's right over top of the stadium. So,
and my dad texted me. He said we're expecting, and my dad is in Philly, like he's in the heart of it. He says we're expecting up to 3 to 6 inches of snow in Philly today.
Yep. This is at 3:00. This is at 4:00.
Oh,
so it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get they're in the thick of it. This is gonna be exciting.
5:00.
This is gonna be exciting, Marcus.
And then after 5:00, you figure out the game is gonna probably go from 3 to 7:00, right? So so you're talking about 5:00 p.m. This is what it's gonna look like. So it's coming.
It's gonna be in the thick of it. I think it's gonna get worse as the game goes.
Absolutely.
As the game goes, man. This is the fascinating situation to be in. I haven't seen a snow game in Philly in quite some time. Like I'm trying to think back, like a snow game that had this potential, that had this amount of snow. You know what I mean? I'm trying to really think about it. Obviously, that Shady game was a blizzard. That was just something different.
Shady game. Didn't it snow the 4th and 26 game? I was at that game. I think it was cold out, but I don't think it snowed.
Yeah, I don't think it stuck.
Yeah,
it was just flurries, really cold, really windy. So yeah, make sure you guys stay locked in, continue to smash that like button. It's really important for us, you guys. All right, let's get to some of these super chats. Our guy Carlos Rosado, the $5 super. He says, "Tone, salute Coach Marcus. Salute. It's game day. Time to put up or shut up. Rumor has it they took golf helmet off and Sam Darnold was underneath it." Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh man, that's good. I like that. Hopefully today, when they take Matthew Stafford helmet off, it's gonna be Herbert under there or something. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Shout out to Carlos, man.
What was the dude that?
Go ahead.
Oh no. Go ahead and finish this. I got to tell you this. Somebody put a joke out last night on my live stream, man. I was laughing for about 5 minutes, bro. Go ahead and finish because I'll say it when you're done.
Got you. Shout out to my guy, Relative Time Works. Appreciate the super chat, my man. Really, really do. It means a lot. He says, "Keep up the good work, Tone. I was just outside. It's not nearly as cold as I expected. Snow will be wet and slushy. Expect wide receivers to be able to elude corners. Weather will be a bit of an equalizer. Go Birds." Yeah, you're right. We talk about the weather from the perspective of it benefiting the Eagles, but sure, the Eagles are used to playing in these conditions and in this cold weather, but this weather could have an impact on the Eagles' performance as well.
I beg to differ.
Okay, explain.
No. You are correct. It could have an effect, but it goes back again to being prepared. You know what I mean? I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I know what cold weather is and blizzards and snowstorms and all that kind of stuff.
You know to get out early and put early and put that salt on the ground early. You know what to do.
My twin sister lives in Atlanta. We grew up together.
She lost it. She lost it.
It's not that she lost it, but when you living down there and they don't put salt on the roads down in Atlanta. They put sand on the roads down in Atlanta. They not prepared.
Are you serious?
Because they're not living in it. So it comes every now and then, but they don't have to deal with it on an everyday basis. So when it does hit and hit hard, they're not prepared. The same thing with the LA Rams. Yeah, you got some guys that were born in cold weather, Northeast teams and born on the East Coast. But when you live out there and you get used to the comfort and SoFi stadiums and sushi at lunch and all of that type of stuff, it's you fall into that mindset. And then when you get a shock to your system that is 32 degrees and it's wet outside, and when you fall in the rain, when you fall on the grass and it's less than 35 degrees outside, that is a shock to the system. So I hope y'all been getting y'all cold plunges in, because that's exactly what it's gonna feel like.
It's gonna be one of those. What's so funny? Like they're professionals, but they're still human. Like it's gonna be undesirable for them to be not only in the cold, not only dealing with the slush and soaking wet jerseys and stuff like that and mud and whatnot, but the way the Eagles been cracking, the way they've been hitting, that's the kind of thing that can get you out of a game mentally and spiritually and emotionally.
And I'm here to let you know, man, from personal experience, the first time you get hit, like take a real hit and you cold, Ooh, literally, it hits different.
Mm.
It's different. So
Mm.
that goes back to the point I was making about the Eagles being the more physical team. That is going to be a big factor in today's game.
Man, shout out to you guys again, man. Well over 700 people in the live stream. Really do appreciate you guys. Stay active, man. Continue to hit that like button. Thank you, Relative Timeworks, for your super chat.
Yes,
If you guys also want to donate to the channel, you can definitely do so. You can donate the channel via Pro Fan Talks channel, or you can donate it via Chalk It Up Sports or the Chalk It Up Network. Make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. We appreciate it. All right, William Johnson with the $10 super chat. He says, great content, fellas. Sal Palantonio said that Packers game would be the toughest game in these playoffs. What y'all think? Interesting.
I didn't necessarily agree with that, but I understand the point he was trying to make.
Maybe defensively, maybe the defense, right? As far as defense,
correct.
Like I would say that for sure. I would say that it's kind of hard to just make a sweeping generalization like that because every game takes on its own identity in various circumstances. But I would say the Eagles have faced their toughest defense thus far, or they face the toughest defense that they're going to face. Now, granted, game plans happen, but from a personnel perspective, I think they faced their toughest defense.
And I think the reason Sal Palantonio said that was because he expected a better game from Jordan Love.
Oh, interesting. Good
so
point.
you add that to that defense because that was a good defense, but
they played well enough to win. They played well enough to win.
They were expecting a much better performance from Jordan Love, but again, this is where I talk about Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio has our boys ready. Every challenge, he's had them ready, and people just conveniently want to forget that the Eagles should be 16-1.
Man, I try not to even think about that because it is what it is.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, don't do nothing but rhyme. Yeah,
and our circumstances as of right now, they benefit us even more than they probably ever could. Sure you got to play one extra game as the second seed, but you got to play a wild card. But I stand by this. I stand by the second seed, and I spoke about this several times over the course of the weeks coming to the playoffs. The moment we lost that Washington game, I really put things in perspective, even prior to actually, because we were still competing with the Lions and the Vikings for that spot. Even if you win that game, you're still competing for it.
Yeah.
And honestly, we really didn't have the advantage even if we won the Washington game. But I just feel like the second seed, that path, to me, once I did the math on it, once I did the science on it, it made so much more sense to me, and it was the most feasible path. And lo and behold, it's starting to come into fruition. All the Eagles got to do is take care of business. It's really that simple. All right, William Johnson, thank you for the super chat, my man. I really do appreciate it. Okay, now let's get to the next super chat. My man Michael McLean, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
So, he says Jordan Davis will have a big game today. I think so too, man. Jordan Davis is the unsung hero of this defense. He doesn't get talked about enough, but Jordan Davis is a brick wall. And his ability to take on double teams, his ability to just push the line, create so many opportunities for guys like Zach Bond and Oren Burks, Nakobe Dean when he was healthy, right? Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I'm also interested to see how Nolan Smith adapts to the weather as well. He's a speed demon. I mean, granted, he's gotten more powerful, but those edge rushers throughout this game, turning that corner is going to be really interesting.
That's a good point. It really depends on how cold it gets.
Let me ask you this:
got the field looking like? Yes.
Let me ask you this: you played this game. Walk me through what a game like this forces the equipment managers to go through. How do equipment managers handle a game like this? What kind of cleats are they wearing? What kind of do the gloves change? Does anything equipment wise change? And if so, please break it down for people who don't understand the difference between the cleats and things of that nature, depending on the weather conditions.
The gloves, the way they do the gloves now, all gloves are supremely tacky. So back, I was wearing the Newmans, the big heavy Newmans back in the day. And I thought those were doing something. But now with the Nike gloves and the Under Armour and all that kind of stuff, they're on a whole nother level. So the gloves have never been a problem. The cleats is where you really got to get it right. And we are the prime example because we couldn't figure it the hell out in the Super Bowl. I believe if the turf would have been right the way it was supposed to be, we win that game. But again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, don't do nothing but rhyme. But what you do is, it's two things you got to look at. Number one is you got to look at the height of the grass, if it's even grass. And number two, you got to look at what is the condition of the under turf. So let's say you got 1.5 inches to 2 inches of grass. Okay. You got to really put your hand in the grass to feel the ground. Anybody that's ever fallen or been tackled, if you roughhousing outside, when you hit that ground, that grass is a little bit of buffer, but you still get to a point where you hit that solid. You hit that solid turf. Now, if that turf has absorbed a lot of water and it's below freezing, that turf is going to be hard. Prime example was 2 years ago when we played in Chicago and it was 17 degrees.
Very good point.
That ground is hard. When you hit the ground, that's like playing on concrete. So it depends on, did they cover the turf overnight? What time are the Eagles going to get to the stadium? What time do they uncover the turf? All of those questions have to be answered. But normally, if the turf underneath the grass is hard, you might want to go with a little bit longer studs or something like that. So it's you're going to try out about 3 or 4 pair of cleats. And you're just going to go with what you think is best. So Saquon's going to probably have about 3 pairs of cleats that he's going to run out with, do some cuts, do some warm-ups, and he's going to try to figure out the different traction he can get. But the one thing I tell, especially running backs, the one thing you always have to do is when you find a pair of cleats that give you the best traction, then you got to go in the middle of the field on the logo. Because now you're on the logo, and when you run on the numbers, because they painted on everything, that gives you a different feeling. And if you've ever noticed on turf, that's where a lot of guys tend to slip around, on the logo in the middle and on the numbers.
And an end zone.
Be aware of that. Yes.
And an end zone. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. Shout out to Michael McClain, man. Appreciate you for the super chat, my guy.
Yeah, Mike. Appreciate you, bro.
Michael McClain back again with another super chat. He says we need to make a statement like we did last week. Yeah, man. A statement when we'll do numbers.
Absolutely.
We'll do numbers, man. If you dominate this game, if you beat the Rams 35-17 or whatever, that's a statement. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. If you beat them 35-20, that's a statement. You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to get into our score predictions and our keys to the game and our bold predictions later on a little bit. We're almost done. We're going to get to those after the super chats. But yeah, Michael, you're absolutely right, man. We got to make a statement. Thank you for donating to the channel, my friend. We appreciate it. Also, again, shout out to Carlos Rosado for donating. Shout out Relative Time Works for donating. Shout out William Johnson for donating, and once again, Michael McClain for donating twice in a row. Next we got Carl Calvert with the $10 super sticker. Shout out to Carl, man. We appreciate that.
Appreciate you
guys. You guys also have that option, by the way. You don't gotta always, if you don't have anything to say, really, you just want to donate, you can donate via super sticker, whatever works for you. So just know all those donations really help us. It helps us keep this machine going, and make sure you guys continue to stay active, smashing that like button, man. Again, well over 700 people in this live stream, man. 776 to be exact. So we appreciate y'all for locking in. All right. Thank you, Carl. Next up, we got my guy, my little brother, my man, Cody Figueroa. Tell Figgy I said, what's up, big dog? Cody, he says, revenge for 2017 Wentz injury and smack up verse. Well, it's funny, Cody. The best revenge was winning that Super Bowl for sure. But no, I feel you though, man. Smack up verse for sure, bro. I want to put hands and feet on verse bad.
Verse was in high school back then, bro.
Yeah. I want made a lot of to put verse face in the dirt. I really do, man. Like this is you don't talk like that against us. You don't talk like that against a Samoan, man. You don't do that.
No,
you don't do that, man. You don't do that.
No.
And look, I don't even know if he's Samoan, Polynesian, however you want to slice it, man. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to assume his ethnicity, but the Aussie, you don't talk trash against the Aussie. You don't do that. You feel what I'm saying? Then you got Lane Johnson right there. It's just, I love Have you been noticing Landon Dickerson's pregame speeches? Have you been noticing them lately?
Yeah, he
Yo,
done found his role.
he done found it.
Everybody, every player, regardless of your talent level, because this is a mental thing. This is not a physical thing. This is a mental thing. You play long enough and you see where your personality fits in the group that you are in. And for every player, there is something that clicks. And it clicks, and you're where you're supposed to be. People are looking at you to be the one to speak up. It doesn't happen for everybody at the same time. But Landon Dickerson has found his voice, and for him, it clicked. And he's somebody that everybody wants to listen to, because let's not forget, Lane Johnson is on his way out the door. Lane Johnson is that guy that's going to sit back. You can always go to LJ, and he's going to say something to hype everybody up. But he knows he's probably, the last 1 or 2 years of his career, and Landon is the future. Juergens is the future. Jordan Mailata is going to be here for the foreseeable future. So these are the guys that have to lead. So number one, big props to LJ to be able to let that happen, because he's letting it happen. And another big prop to Landon Dickerson, finally clicking to him that he's a leader on that offensive line.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Landon. Shout out to my man Cody for donating to the channel, man. I appreciate you. And like you said, man, versus, man, let's just leave it at that. My man Mike Call. My man Mike Call from high school, man. Shout out to my guy Mike from high school, man. That's my man.
Going way back.
Yeah, going way back, man. Mike is my man. Shout out to him with the super chat. He said snow is already coming down here in Philly. Man, I love it. I love it, man. Mike, we here. This is what we've been waiting on. We here,
from
dog.
The bottom now. We here.
Everything is in front of us. Everything is in front of us, bro. We just got to take care of business. Make sure we clean our plate off. Don't leave no remnants. Don't leave no leftovers. You feel what I'm saying? I want us to
clean that plate, bro.
Clean it, man. Clean it. And it's so funny. Landon Dickerson spoke about in his previous game, in his pregame speech. He was like, "Let's be the nightmare. Let's be the nightmare." You feel what I'm saying? He said, "Listen, they probably dreamed of this moment, but guess what? We're gonna be a motherfucking nightmare. we're gonna be a nightmare." And I've been telling people, 1, 2, Philly's coming for you.
You ain't go Freddie on
4, better lock your door. 5, 6, get a crucifix. 7, 8, better stay up late. 9, 10, Philly's coming again. It's that time, y'all. It's really that time. We locked in. We locked in. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. It don't get no better than this. You guys are tuned into the Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk. I'm your humble host, Tony DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game, man. Y'all know the vibes. You know the energy. This is the playoffs, baby. Divisional round. Eagles versus Rams. This is how you want it. This is how you're going to get it. Just like that. Now, let's get to keys to the game, bold prediction, then score prediction. Ready, Marcus?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So, your keys to the game. I know we said a lot, and we dug deep into the layers. But in summary, what are your keys to the game for the Philadelphia Eagles? When the Philadelphia Eagles win this game, notice I didn't say if, when they win this game, what would be the reason why?
Very simple. Number one, control the line of scrimmage. Number two, don't turn the ball over. Control the line of scrimmage, don't turn the ball over. Control the line of scrimmage, don't turn the ball over. That's it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, bold prediction for this game. Do you have any bold predictions? Like any special stat numbers that may seem unrealistic, but just give me something.
Lauren Burks gets a strip sack.
Oren Burks get a strip sack.
Yeah. Oren Burks gets a strip sack.
Ooh. I like that. Oren Burks get a strip sack. Okay. Me, I'm gonna go with okay, this bold predictions are going to be discovered very early in the game. It's a boom or bust prediction. Very boom or bust. My bold prediction is First play of the game, Saquon takes it to the house.
Love it.
First play of the game, Saquon takes it to the crib. That's my bold prediction, you guys. All right. And now let's get to the score prediction. Right. So what's your score prediction for this game, Marcus? Let's do it. We're here now. Let's peel the Band-Aid off.
You know what? My score prediction can probably be my bold prediction as well. I'm going 35-17.
35-17.
The Eagles don't need to kick a field goal. They're going to score every time they're in the red zone. 35-17.
I like that. 35-17. Okay. I also think this is going to be a game where you might not see that many field goals out there. You're going to see teams going on fourth down often. So 35-17, I like that score a lot. I'm going to say the Eagles win this game. Damn, because I'm not expecting too many field goals. So fuck it. I'm going for it. I think the Eagles win this game. What is that? That is 7 times 5 is 35. I think the Eagles win this game 40 to oh man, I need to make sure I'm not tripping. 42-23. 42. Matter of fact, 42-21. 42-21. The Eagles win this game 42-21. It's going to be a barn burner for the Eagles. All right. So there you have it, you guys. Sound good to me. There you have it, you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys stay engaged in the content. You know, we really appreciate you guys locking into where you guys have been. It means a lot to us. Continue to stay active. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both Pro Fan Talk, my man Coach Markus at Pro Fan Talk, and make sure you guys go subscribe to myself as well. Tone Dishes the second, right? Make sure you guys go subscribe to Chalk It Up, the Chalk It Up Network, Chalk It Up Sports. We appreciate you guys, man. It means a lot to us. Goes a long way. Eagles versus Rams, man. The body bag game, man. You know what I mean? We're gonna be making snow angels by the end of this thing. You feel me? It's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be electric. It's gonna be storybook. It's gonna be historic, you guys. We're gonna talk about this game for years to come.
One more step to the goal.
One more step, you guys, and it's straight like that. You guys have been tuned into the Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk and myself, Tone Dishes II from the Chalk It Up Network, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Hey, Markus, spin that record, man.
Let's go, Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.